Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Chanda Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Chanda Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Chanda Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Chanda Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Brajana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajana Jaya Brajana Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahams Abhivrat Secretary His Divine Grace Shall A.C. Bhakti Vinata Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahams Abhivrat Secretary His Divine Grace Shall Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Anantikoti Vaishnavadi Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charge Prabhupada Ki Jai. Neta Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. All glorious notice, all glorious notice, all glorious notice. All glorious Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. I'll read. I was told you remember reading about the marathon in Los Angeles. I was told part 2, beginning. Okay. Someone gave me the wrong information. Okay. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 6 and Part 2, Preaching to America, Dallas, July 28, 1975. Swami, why are you here? Asked a reporter at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. This is my home, said Srila Prabhupada. The reply delighted his disciples. I have got so many children, grandchildren, so I have come here to see them. Srila Prabhupada had written about Dallas Gurukul in his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Krishna consciousness movement he had written was training a new generation of Vaishnavas in its own school in Dallas, Texas. More than 100 boys and girls were now enrolled, and Srila Prabhupada liked to visit here whenever he toured the United States. Here, as in other ISKCON projects in the U.S., he involved himself little in the management, but he visited, making himself available to the teachers, who were always ready with questions. Since there was no precedent in the West for Krishna conscious education, and since the devotees wanted to develop the school just as Prabhupada desired, they felt they had to ask him about curriculum, teaching methods, hygiene, recreation, and so on. In the 100-degree weather, the schoolboys wore no shirts, and Srila Prabhupada ran the electric fan in his room. As soon as he arrived in his quarters, he asked that all the children and adults come into his room, and one by one they entered his room, held out a hand, and Prabhupada gave them a large rasgulla. Haribo! The bumblebees liked that one. That evening he sat in a rocking chair on the lawn behind the temple, while devotees fanned him with a large peacock fan, and locusts droned loudly in the trees. He sat there with his disciples amid many thriving tulsi plants, listening to a reading from the Krishna book. This was as much a lesson in how to conduct a Gurukul as were his answers to the teacher's intricate questions. At Gurukul, everything should be based on chanting and hearing about Krishna. Brahmananda Swami was reading about Krishna's rescuing his beloved Rukmini when suddenly Srila Prabhupada interrupted and said that when they had been escaping on Krishna's chariot, the other princes had been attacking. Rukmini had taken the reins and had driven the chariot. Krishna had then taken his bow and arrows and had defeated his opponents. The devotees were amazed. Many of them were keen students of Krishna book, and nowhere was that particular detail mentioned. Never before had any of them heard of Rukmini taking the reins, nor had they ever thought of her in that way. But Prabhupada assured them that she had fearlessly driven Krishna's chariot during the fight. Rukmini ji ki jai. Oh. When Prabhupada was speaking, Dayananda, the Gurukul headmaster, stretched out his leg to find a more comfortable position, and Prabhupada turned to him and said sternly, "Do not put your feet near Tulsi. She is a pure devotee." When Brahmananda read a prayer in the Krishna book describing Krishna as a creator of the material elements, Prabhupada spoke up. If we do not accept that Krishna made the sky, he challenged, then who made it? The blue of the Texas sky was now fading into twilight, and the guests and devotees alike looked up at the sky and then back at Prabhupada. According to Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna made the sky. Bhumir apo nalo vayu kam. So we should study like this. Aham sarvasya prabhava. The sky is the greatest material thing, but he created it. In this way, study Krishna, not just studying Krishna with the gopis. Then you will misunderstand. But the more you understand Krishna, the more you'll become his staunch follower. Unauthorized persons never paint Krishna creating the sky. They always want to see Krishna dancing with the gopis. And in this way, they try to support their own lusty activities. 2 Dallas newspapers had covered Prabhupada's arrival. The Dallas Times Herald printed a photo of Srila Prabhupada seated and garlanded with roses, his right hand raised, his index finger extended, instructing. Barefoot Swami draws admiring Krishna crowd, the headline read. Aside from claiming that Srila Prabhupada was barefoot, actually he had worn shoes but had removed them when sitting cross-legged. The article pointed out a controversy around the Krishna devotees in Dallas. The article cited ISKCON's injunction against officials of Dallas, of the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, who had forbidden them to distribute literature and take donations. On hearing the article, Srila Prabhupada had commented, "This is a good literature. It should be encouraged. By reading it, people would become sane, and they would understand their constitutional position. Otherwise, the people would go on being perturbed by crime and wondering what to do." Srila Prabhupada was particularly interested in the newspaper's version of his reply to the question about Indian politics. Quote, the Swami replied that Mrs. Gandhi is inclined to some spiritual understanding, and if she fully develops it, the situation will improve. Democracy is not much beneficial if its leaders have no spiritual values. Mahatma Gandhi was practically a dictator, but he was a man of high moral character, so people accepted him. Dictatorship cannot be good, provided the dictator is spiritual. Dictatorship can be good, provided the dictator is spiritually developed. Srila Prabhupada was repeatedly being asked about Indira Gandhi. The U.S. government was critical of her newly instituted emergency rule, and particularly in Chicago, the reporters had tried to construe Prabhupada's comments about women as criticism of Prime Minister Gandhi. Both in Chicago and Dallas, Srila Prabhupada had stressed that he was not much concerned with politics, although he indicated that politics were useless without Krishna. Eager to keep good relations with the Indian government, Prabhupada did not like to speak publicly against India's leaders. He had often expressed a desire to meet with the Prime Minister, to assure her of the good work the Krishna consciousness movement was doing for the benefit of India and the whole world, and to request her assistance. In India, visas had always been a problem for the devotees. They had to continually leave the country and their service to renew their visas and then re-enter at great cost. Now some devotees, especially in the Mayapur area, were being asked to leave the country because of America's stance against Indira Gandhi's political actions. Recently, Prabhupada had received word from the devotees in Delhi that they were trying to arrange such a meeting. So he liked the favorable statements on Indira Gandhi and the Dallas Times Herald and asked that the article be saved. While walking near White Rock Lake, the morning he was to leave for New Orleans, Srila Prabhupada dropped behind the main group of devotees and said to his servant, "I am not feeling well." The few sannyasis close by pressed in to hear him with concern. "Yesterday also," he added, "is it due to the heat, Srila Prabhupada? I do not know why, but now I am feeling headache and some spasm. Should we cancel the trip this morning?" Srila Prabhupada didn't answer. He admitted, however, the heat may have weakened his digestion. When asked if the food was to his liking, he replied, "Not very all right. Constantly change of hand is not good." Brahmananda Swami suggested that another difficulty for health was the constant flying. But when he again suggested postponing the flight to New Orleans, Srila Prabhupada said, no, and continued forward. So I'll speak a little bit, and can be started from July 21, the next reading. I was told, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Maritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasandrubhyahevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavevi Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Makam karoti vachalam pangum langairigam yakripatamaham vande Shri Gunam Dinataranam Shri Paramadabam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Naftai Shrimati Jayapati Namo Charpada Shrimati Bhak Namaste Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasish Tarani. Srila Satsvarup Maharaj is known as a word craftsman, and in this description of Srila Prabhupada, of his preaching at the Gurukul and his presentation of Krishna consciousness, his desire to attract affluent persons, and this circumstance, speaking about Indira Gandhi, to assist the devotees in their mission. So many governments have a misunderstanding about spiritual culture. The government should support those activities of spiritual culture. Recently, one video was sent to me of in South India, I think it was where there was devotees on Harinam and book distribution, and the police were sent by Christians to break up the sales. Goa. Thank you. I was just testing to see if you're awake. But in that way, we see that due to illusory conceptions, the government or persons, the shreshtas, or so-called respectable persons, they misuse their position. So Srila Prabhupada, he was very, very keen in bringing giving Krishna consciousness to all persons, according to one's varna, according to one's ashram. It did not matter. He felt a sense of urgency. And I was told that the beginning of the reading would come from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Leela. And as you know, there was 17 volumes to be printed. Prabhupada wanted that done. By making an order, he brought so many devotees together. 17 volumes within 2 months. That means 8.5 volumes per month, which would come down to just a little about 4 volumes in terms of every 2 weeks. And then you have 3.5, 4 volumes in just 2 weeks. Every week, 2 volumes like this. Every 3 days, you have a little like this, a volume and a half, 2 volumes like that. What an intensity it was. So I was recollecting, I was in San Diego in that time, and to hear how senior devotees like Devamrita Swami were paying their obeisances to Srila Prabhupada every single day, praying for the ability Dave Swami acted as the editor, and he was praying for the ability to edit all this writing. And they actually engaged one of the biggest book publishing agency to actually present these books. Prabhupada was on a marathon, and he said, actually, the acharyas want these books printed, is their desire. And the devotees were doing everything. Like here, we see the Gurukul teachers, they are doing a marathon. The different personalities and representatives who were, their vocation was to connect with the governmental leaders. They were in a marathon to bring people to Prabhupada. Jai ho, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Parthasati Lalita Vishaki Devi ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurita ki jai. So Srila Prabhupada had everyone on a complete marathon. So yesterday, because I thought we were reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon, but it worked out perfectly. I wrote Rameshwar a letter, who was in charge of the BBT at that time, and for his message through a messenger, and I asked him a question in respect towards this particular pastime, and I wrote. This is what I wrote to him. I said, "Dear Rameshwar Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. At ISKCON New Delhi on Ekadasi, we're reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and I'll be covering the chapter regarding the CC book printing marathon in LA. Is there anything you would like to say / add with regard to this sacred occasion that I could share with the devotees? Best wishes, your servant Bhakti Siddhanta Swami." So then he wrote back, because of the time difference, very wonderful instruction. He said, Srila Prabhupada can eternally empower any of his devoted followers who give him 100% of themselves out of unmotivated and uninterrupted love. I'll read that again. Srila Prabhupada can eternally empower any of his devoted followers who give him 100% of themselves out of unmotivated and uninterrupted love. Srila Prabhupada ki. It's amazing to see what mercy has been given to us, because we see we've all come from different backgrounds. I ask a question of all the devotees in this room: how many have had Brahminical births before coming to Krishna consciousness? How many are Brahmins in a sense? Okay. A few hands raised. But actually, Prabhupada, he was, by the mercy, according to our background, by engaging each of his dependents in service of the Lord, he made everyone Brahmin, because Brahman means one who uses the mind, body, and words to serve the Supreme. Haribo, Srila Prabhupada ki! So you might be a manager, you might be a brahmachari, very Coke Balu colors, you might be a new bumblebee, you might be something else, mixture in between, Babaji, different colors. And what's green mean? I'm joking. In this way, we see that Prabhupada has brought so many different personalities under one roof. And it is amazing, because this is the mercy of a pure devotee. The mercy of a pure devotee is to be an outward manifestation of the Supreme to direct others in Krishna consciousness. Now, in the 10th canto, 7th chapter, there's a wonderful sloka of the Garbhastuti, where Narada Muni and all the demigods are actually praying within the prison house where Lord Krishna was externally locked within. So they're offering him very wonderful prayers, and they're glorifying his effulgence and his powerful position. And in the sloka 10, 14, 12, it is described, Ashvapideva vapasa maranugrahasya svecha mayasya tutatu putamuhasya. My dear Lord, neither I, this is Lord Brahma speaking at this point, neither I nor anyone can estimate the transcendental body of yours, which has shown mercy to me, which appears to fulfill desires of your pure devotees. So Srila Prabhupada in Parampara, he set up an entire program. Like you have a cord, and you have a piece of wood, and you have some string. Uselessly, separately, the instrument has no value, but when you put it together, you can make very melodious music. So Srila Prabhupada, by giving instructions of how to follow the Yuga Dharma in terms of the chanting of the Nam, distribution of the Nam, building temples to support those activities, building farm communities to provide an example of simple living, high thinking, then in this way we can see how Srila Prabhupada was empowered by the Lord as a Shaktivesh avatar, empowered by the mercy of the Supreme to present Krishna consciousness according to time and place. So here at the Gurukul, he's presenting according to time and place. They're reading Krishna book, and he's speaking about how Rukmini actually took over the reins to see the power of Krishna's devotees. And the devotees never heard of this. This is the beauty of the book Bhagavat. Like Srila Prabhupada, we have the person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. So the pure devotee represents the person Bhagavat to illustrate the pastimes in the in terms of this particular marathon in Los Angeles. It was the Chaitanya Charitamrita, to write the entire history of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So when we look at how Srila Prabhupada brought different devotees together from different backgrounds, because basically if you had not added Krishna consciousness, what would you be doing today? You'd be different works of life, doctors, lawyer. Maybe you might have been the next prime minister, who knows? So in this way, we can't understand. We most likely would not be next to each other. And probably give the example in the kitchen. You have different utensils, and you have different types of pots and cooking ingredients. And there's so much noise in the kitchen. Even today, someone may put the stick into the fan, Well, is he electrocuted? Is he okay? It's like, actually it happened in Barshana that there was a big, on Rangili Holi, and this is in Barshana, they have a big building where they do these big dramas and plays. And one, in the early days, especially with Indian construction, well, mind the, tongue-in-cheek, but anyways, one man had electrocuted himself during it was a rainy day, and it was during the drama. And it was like it's like when you do drama, Krishna enters into the actors. It is a unique situation. Or when you go on Sankirtan, Krishna works through the devotee. When you manage properly, Krishna works through you to save money. So ultimately, Krishna's the doer. This one man had actually it has been like almost a minute with, what's the voltage in India? 220? 220 for 1 minute. But what happened is that when that was through, because he spoke about this the following day, and he said, no, I was electrocuted, but it was almost like I wasn't feeling the pain. And because there was a glorification of Radha and Krishna on drama on stage, it was like I was part of a drama. I was in the material world. Of course, it was in Braj, which is not material field. So this is the beauty of the process. So Srila Prabhupada has brought so many different personalities together. Now, if we study in the Mahabharata, how Duryodhana, you see, Krishna, he's not attracted to someone who has Brahminical birth, or he is not attracted to someone who may be rich, aristocracy. He is not attracted to these persons. He is attracted to those who are garib, those who are poor, who simply want to take shelter of the Lord. So anyways, Duryodhana, to attract Lord Krishna, I must get him, I must bribe him. This is before the battle of Kurukshetra. I must get him on my side, so let me make 56 delicious preparations, first-class preparations. And he invited Lord Krishna to come to his home. But Krishna obviously did not come because his consciousness was materialistic. He simply went to his devotee Vidura, who was devoted. He's the brother of Duryodhana. But he went to Vidura because of his devotion to the Lord. And Vidura, he didn't expect the Lord. There was simply some special, simple vegetable prep like this, banana prep. And it's also some description how Vidura was such a bhav. The Lord has come, he gave him the peels instead of the banana. So in this way, the Lord is attracted to devotion. I remember before coming to Krishna consciousness, when you would go to maybe a big concert, you would have the various musicians on stage playing so expertly. They were like the demigods or the gods of the day. But coming into kirtan, all of a sudden you're on stage. No longer you're watching, you're participating. And if you're falling asleep, hey, Prabhu, there's a taste in the Nam. And that's the safest place in the material world is the Nam Seva. That's the safest place. That's why this temple is so wonderful. Nam Seva is being performed always. So anyways, Lord Krishna wasn't attracted to the opulences given by Duryodhana. But he wanted to take shelter. He wanted to see his devotee, Vidura. And then in Ram Leela, we have the famous example of Sabari, who was a simple low-caste woman. She was given shelter by Mahatan Rishi. And he was expelled by the group of rishis because you have given a low-caste person residence in your ashram. She even avoided going near Matan Rishi, but he had given her shelter because she was a pure devotee of the Lord. So when Lord Ramachandra, he went, and every devotee, the Lord will come. You want to offer him the best quality gift. So she took some berries, some fruit, and she offered that to the Lord, but before she offered it to him, it's sweet, very nice, okay. Now, the new bumblebees, when you go on the altar, you cannot do this. When you get Brahma initiation, be very careful. Otherwise, Mohan Rupa, hop, hey, jump. Go take out the trash. I think it was 15 days ago, I was here. And there was some nice Mahaprasad that was given. And, this was on the Gauraparni. And there was some big Mahaprasad that was offered to the Thakurji. Of course, they're always giving the sannyasis the Mahaprasad. There was some special sabji, and special sweet rice. And, but somehow or another, a bumblebee got between the Sankirtan distributor from the altar and the sannyasi waiting in the guest house. A bumblebee took it off. No problem, and went out. So this is a wonder of attraction to prasadam. But we see that the Lord, in the case of Sabari, was so attracted. He avoided all the sages who've been performing tapasya for thousands of years simply to go to her ashram and take some gift from her lotus hand. So this is the beauty of the Bhakti process. It goes beyond the externals of an ashram. It goes on the externals of birth. Krishna loves to glorify himself through his dependents and through his devotees. There's another pastime of Sena, who was a very expert barber, and he would actually always come to the king to offer his services. So one day, many devotees came to his house, and Sena was a very great devotee of the Lord. And many sadhus came to his house. He forgot. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Mantra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Just a lava mantra, 11th of a second. He became immersed. Just long period, even short period, long period in Sadhu Sangha. And he forgot about his service to the king. Then Krishna
took his exact form as a barber and went to the king and performed the services of a barber, cutting the hair. And in this way, Sena realized, Ariwa, I've forgotten my service. Oh, the king will be angry. Oh. He went to the king. I'm sorry, my dear king. I became absorbed in devotee sangha. I forgot to do my service. And the king goes, what are you talking about? You came today and cut my hair. And then King Sena understood, Ariwa, my Lord has come to render such a seva. So here is a barber to a king. But because of his bhav, he had the Lord wanted to take his own form to protect his devotee. Rakhe Krishna, Mare Ke, Mare Krishna, Rakhe Ke. Krishna works in wonderful ways. I'm telling these pastimes because in the modern pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, how Prabhupada would instruct the devotees, how he would nourish their intelligence with Krishna book, how he would add new pastimes. It gave the book Bhagavat great substance in connection with the person Bhagavat. So in this way, we can relish how Krishna takes such a humble position to enter his pure devotees, to empower his pure devotees. Yudhisthira, in the Rajasuya sacrifice, was performing such a yajna. And Lord Krishna himself, during the Rajasuya sacrifice, would clean up, take the plates and all the remnants by the different guests that have come, and clean everything and put it in a basket. What a humble position the Lord took in this situation. I mean, generally we see the devotees may not have the opportunity for the cleaning activity. I remember my first seva as a brahmachari was washing the pots on the wall, and washing the pots in San Diego Temple. And that was my first seva, and learning my first shloka by putting the shloka on the wall. So in this way, by following the Lord's example, such a wonderful opportunity is there. Another example of how the Lord takes a humble position, because you see what Krishna is doing with Srila Prabhupada. He is giving himself to persons without high birth. He's giving himself for those persons who didn't really have the greatest pious credits. Actually, Srila Prabhupada's association, by the mercy of the Lord, he created pious credits for his devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki! Just by seeing Srila Prabhupada, just by seeing him smile, then that could change the heart, can change the consciousness. So Lord Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, to speak Bhagavad Gita, he placed Arjuna into anxiety. So Arjuna had to ask him various questions. And Lord Krishna became Arjuna's charioteer in this Leela. How inconceivable, because the charioteer sits below the warrior. The Lord takes a lower position to speak Bhagavad Gita. And even there are different descriptions where the Lord will be looking back at Arjuna. And even though it can cause some pain in the neck, that the Lord spoke Bhagavad Gita. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have in our very hands today Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada ki! So when we study the Leela Amrita, it's such a wonderful, shall we say, new dimension of the Bhagavat philosophy, the new dimension of the Bhagavatam. How to see the pure devotee enact with his dependents, enact with those in difficulty, enact with those who have fallen down. And we get great nourishment in terms of our position of actually how that the Supreme Lord can be controlled by his devotees. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna would demand butter from the gopis. And the gopis said, okay, we'll give you some chach, some buttermilk, but first you must dance. So here is someone the Supreme Lord, who had walked past the sages in terms of, in Ram Leela, who had walked past the sages to go visit Sabari, that here is the Supreme Lord who wants some butter, who wants some buttermilk. He's got to dance. You want it, you got to dance. You got to play. You want to play, you got to, you have to actually, you got to dance on this occasion. So the Lord would dance in front of the gopis so he gets some chach. And even one occasion, the gopis demanded, you have to dance, but you have to do something else. You have to play Radhe, Radhe on your flute. So Krishna had to play Radhe, Radhe on his flute. So this is a wonderful description of how the Supreme Lord creates arenas of attraction to himself from devotees of any walk of life. Another wonderful example in the Bhakti Mall, which is described as Siddhant Kosai, who is a butcher and actually came to a previous life. He was a Brahmin, and a cow was running by him, and a butcher was running, and he asked because Siddhant in that previous birth was a pure Brahminical person, he pointed to where the cow had run. So the reaction, though he was pure, he got a next birth as a butcher. But he was basically, his services was simply to process the meat. So anyways, he had this, he would always sing different glorification, like Gita Govinda, to his worshipful Lord. And because his worshipful Lord happened to be a shalagram Shila. And he would use the shalagram to weigh the meat. Someone would come with, I want 1 kilo, I want 1/2 kilo. And the shalagram, Krishna, would manifest in size and shrink and manifest bigger, 1 kilo, 2 kilo. This is how Krishna would reciprocate with his devotee, who was a butcher. I was thinking, how is this in the field of a butchery, Thakurji? But Krishna was so attracted to his mantras. Krishna was so attracted to his prayers. But then one sannyasi, Kokbalu sannyasi comes. What is this? How can you place Thakurji on a weight? Of course, Thakurji is a Yulanyatra, hoodie, woo, going up and down like that. But how can you put the Supreme Personality Godhead, Shalagram? Give me that shalagram. You're not doing proper puja. So then the sannyasi took the shalagram, brought it home, and did so many patrams and pushpams and mantras and tantras to Thakurji. But Thakurji was very unhappy. He came to the mind of that sannyasi. There was some purity there. Hey, take me back to Siddhant Kosai. I am attracted by his chanting of the Gita Govinda. So in this way, it doesn't matter about the externals. The Lord is attracted to our heartfelt devotion. So each one of you in this room has different strengths and different types of weaknesses. Some of you have health problems, others do not. But in connection with Krishna, the Lord makes perfect arrangements for a devotee, whether it's health, non-health, birth or death. The Lord can make a negative situation very positive. So in this way, we can truly relish how the Lord works in our life. We simply follow the process, chant, dance. We follow the principles. We keep our health as best we can. Prabhupada said first health, bhajan, and then preaching. And in this way, you develop the 6 loving exchanges with one another to reinforce this reality, to reinforce this family mood. Then we will actually become part of this Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We'll, instead of reading the pages about a previous history, we'll become part of a spiritual history. And you can see amongst you, those who are distributing books, or those who have personal realizations about their relationship with the deity, those who are writing, those who are managing, miracles are happening every single day. And we see, for example, in New Delhi, you have so many temples, 7 temples? 7 temples? 12? 14? Okay. I guess I better travel more. We see that the temples have been established. Now I know Gopal Krishna Maharaj's mood is to boil the milk. I want to connect with important persons, and I want to uplift the devotees we have made, and no longer a mood towards building. I guess you can't refuse when some property is donated, right? But boiling the milk to make mature devotees. This is like an extension of Prabhupada Lilamrita that is happening. That we want to take great consolation in the position. So the process of distribution and heart transformation comes in this preaching efforts. So in the Bhagavad Gita, 1868, Ya idam paramam guya mad bhaktim abhitasyata bhakti mayam param kritva ma eveshadi samshaya. That for one who preaches my glories to my dependents, to my devotees, becomes very, very dear to me. In the end, that person will come back to me. This is the glories of this process. This is the glory. We're coming in contact with Bhagavad Gita. We're coming in contact with the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're coming in contact with Prabhupada's ability to present Krishna consciousness according to time and place. That's why we always have to upgrade our outreach work. What worked in the 60s doesn't work so much in the 70s. What doesn't work in the 80s doesn't work so much in the 90s. We have to always adjust our presentation with the same medicine, the Nam, Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, Kirtan, Prasadam distribution. Those go without change, but our packaging can change. Like you have a restaurant facilities here, you have a wonderful museum. These are very wonderful ways to crack the modern mindset, to develop relationships. It's a matter of understanding how to connect in Krishna consciousness, going beyond the mind, but to connect the heart. Now, it was in 1893, Vivekananda had gone to America, and he was one of the first Indian sadhus to go there. They had a big World Religions Conference at that time in Chicago. So many different quasi-spiritual speakers would speak at this conference. And so then they came up towards those for India, those speakers for India, because no one knew about him then. There was zero. There was no one there. So then, because all the persons had come, they're speakers, they had dress and pants, and they would address everybody, my dear gentlemen and gentle ladies, like this. But he raised his hand to go speak, to represent India. And he's very famous in his opening words. He said, my dear brothers and sisters. And there was like a 3-minute ovation amongst all the erudite scholars and all the spiritual persons, because all the other speakers, they addressed everyone in terms of external designation. But brother and sister is a Sanatan Dharma conception, that we are part and parcel of Krishna, and we are eternally related with the Supreme. So then he pointed up towards the zero on the board, saying, no, there is not the zero for India. And he began to talk about zero refers to material consciousness in terms of in the beginning of creation, things were zero, but by the grace of the Supreme, there was creation. So he gave a very wonderful, almost 2 to 3 hour talk. The other leaders would speak for half an hour, maybe only 10 minutes. He spoke for 3 hours, speaking about Sanatan Dharma and presenting the richness of Indian culture. And he had a saffron turban, very strong presentation of Krishna consciousness. He even visited my hometown. I grew up in a place near Boston, Weston. He visited my hometown. And to this day, persons remember Because when they see me, they see my dress, they're, oh, Hare Krishna. Well, we remember, you remind us of Vivekananda. So in this way, his ability in a parampara level is to connect with people in a heartfelt way. So certainly Srila Prabhupada, he connected with his devotees in a very heartfelt fashion. He's created pure devotees. Prabhupada gave the example. One time a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, how many pure devotees are in your movement? And he goes, how many devotees are there? He gave the example of a mango, a ripe mango and unripe mango. So Sa Mahatma Sadurlabha, the devotees of the Lord are very, very exalted and very rare souls. So in this way, as we read such wonderful pastimes in Lilamrita, do not read them in such a way that this is past history. But the pastimes of Lilamrita are happening every single day. Every book distributed, every Lakshmi, every paisa which is saved in the preaching, every paisa which is managed properly, every senior person who's able to connect with persons in government, they are all part of this Lilamrita. And in this way, we want to, instead of watch history go by, become part of a spiritual history. So that is our great opportunity. Please take advantage of this history and invite others to do the same. Hare Krishna. I will stop there. Does anybody have any questions or comments in regard to this topic?
Hare Krishna. I will speak in Hindi. Somebody can translate into English.
Okay.
Everybody knows Hindi, I think. So somebody can translate. Sure. Baleshwar,
okay.
You can translate. Or Rishi Kumar will translate. Thank you. तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है महाराज को. महाराज ने बड़ी गहरी बातें बताई हैं प्रभुपाद के संबंध में और प्रभुपाद के लीलामृत के पाठ के संबंध में. इसमें एक जो बात है कि प्रभुपाद ने बड़ा महत्व दिया कि जो बच्चे हैं उनको कृष्ण भावना भावित बनाया जाए. तो ये कार्यक्रम जो प्रभुपाद का था तो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है. प्रभुपाद ने युवाओं को भी कृष्ण भावना भावित बनाने के कार्यक्रम बनाए, यूथ प्रीचिंग, ये भी बड़े महत्वपूर्ण है. लेकिन बच्चों को कृष्ण भावना भावित बनाना ये उससे भी ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है, क्योंकि जीवन जो है प्रारंभ होता है, जहाँ से जीवन प्रारंभ होता है वहीं से अगर वो संस्कार दिए जाएं तो बहुत ही वो शक्तिशाली संस्कार होते हैं. जैसे कि कहा जाता है कि बांस, जब हरा बांस होता है तो आप आसानी से जैसे चाहें वैसे मोड़ सकते हैं, लेकिन जैसे जैसे बांस पक जाता है, सूख जाता है, तो फिर मुड़ता नहीं, टूट जाता है. तो उसी प्रकार से जीवन की जो प्रारंभिक अवस्था है उसमें अगर कृष्ण भावना भावित बनाया जाए लोगों को तो ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम है. तो प्रभुपाद इसमें लीलामृत में बताया गया कि प्रभुपाद जब जाते थे तो उस समय प्रबंध के कार्यों में जो है प्रभुपाद ज़्यादा रुचि नहीं लेते थे, बल्कि शिक्षकों से मिला करते थे. तो उस गुरुकुल के जो शिक्षक उनसे मिला करते थे और शिक्षकों की भी बड़ी चिंता रहती थी कि वहाँ पर तो ऐसे कोई गुरुकुल का कोई ऐसा नमूना था ही नहीं डल्लास में. तो शिक्षकों को बड़ी चिंता होती थी. तो प्रभुपाद से बहुत प्रश्न पूछते थे, बच्चों के स्वास्थ्य के संबंध में, बच्चों की शिक्षा के संबंध में, उनके पाठ्यक्रम के संबंध में कई प्रकार के प्रश्न पूछते थे, क्योंकि सबसे पहला ही ये प्रयोग था जो प्रभुपाद ने डल्लास में किया और उनके पास कोई उपाय नहीं था कि कहीं और से वे संपर्क करें और कुछ अनुभव प्राप्त करें. तो गैर अनुभवी शिक्षक थे, लेकिन कितने सच्चे थे कि वे प्रभुपाद से कई प्रश्न पूछा करते थे और प्रभुपाद उनके प्रश्नों के उत्तर दिया करते थे. फिर उसमें एक बात ये बताई गई कि प्रभुपाद जब बैठे तो सब लोगों को जो है अपने पास बैठा लिया और प्रभुपाद ने स्वयं प्रवचन नहीं दिया, बल्कि कृष्ण पुस्तक कहा पढ़ने के लिए, कि किसी और को कहा कि पुस्तक पढ़ के सुनाओ, प्रभुपाद खुद सुन रहे हैं. तो ये बहुत बड़ी शिक्षा थी. ये हर मंदिर में और हर गुरुकुल में, हर स्थान में ये जो है बहुत अच्छी शिक्षा है कि हर व्यक्ति को जो है लगाया जाए, नियुक्त किया जाए कि कोई व्यक्ति किताब पढ़े और हम सुने। तो प्रभुपाद ने बहुत अच्छी शिक्षा दी। तो स्वयं प्रवचन ना दे करके गुरुकुल में प्रभुपाद जो है बैठ गए सुनने के लिए, और दूसरे भक्तों को कहते हैं कि तुम पढ़ो। तो एक ऐसा भी जो है मतलब कार्यक्रम बनाया जा सकता है कि आप भी पढ़ो, आप भी पढ़ो, आप भी पढ़ो। तो इस तरह से आप जो कुछ भी बोलेंगे वो बिल्कुल शुद्ध है, संदेश होगा, उसमें कुछ मिलावट है ही नहीं, अपना कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहे। तो इस तरह से पढ़ना और सुनना, तो ये जो है बहुत अच्छा एक जो है प्रभुपाद ने पाठ सिखाया, उपदेश दिया। तो स्वयं करके आपनी आचार्य, जैसे कहा कि आपनी आचार्य प्रभु जीवेर सिखाए, ऐसे प्रभुपाद भी जो है स्वयं आचरण करके शिक्षा दे रहे हैं। अगर प्रभुपाद ही केवल प्रवचन देंगे और सब लोग सुनेंगे तो कौन समझेगा कि भाई आगे और भी किसी को कुछ करना है। इन किताब पढ़ना और किताब पढ़ के सुनाना और दूसरों से किताब का पाठ सुनना, ये बहुत बड़ी जो है एक शिक्षा है कि जो हर समय की जा सकती है। कोई नया व्यक्ति भी आ जाए और वो प्रवचन नहीं सुनना चाहता है, उसको आप किताब दे दो, भाई पढ़ के सुनाओ, मैं सुनूंगा। तो एक नया व्यक्ति भी, उसको भी प्रोत्साहन मिलेगा कि चलो मेरा प्रवचन तो ये सुन रहे हैं तो वो अपना प्रवचन सुनाए, आप सुने, तो उसको भी सम्मान मिल गया। तो इस तरह से आप किसी व्यक्ति को इस कार्य में लगा सकते हैं, और इसमें आपकी भी सुरक्षा है, उसकी भी सुरक्षा है, क्योंकि लिखा हुआ जो कुछ है वो पूर्ण है, अपने आप में पूर्ण है। तो प्रभुपाद इस प्रकार से स्वयं करके शिक्षाएं दे रहे हैं। हरे कृष्णा।
Jai Ho. One other thing came to mind, that Prabhupada was so merciful that I've told this story before, but maybe some have not heard it. But there was one bhakta in Los Angeles, and he couldn't get along with anybody. He was a really rough character. So what happened is that this bhakta left his body in a car accident. He wasn't even initiated. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, because they were wondering, what had happened to Bhakta so-and-so? And Prabhupada he looked up. Well, Krishna is taking him back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada came. What? Not initiated? And then Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna was seeing this jiva go down. So Prabhupada said, in his own words, Krishna said, enough is enough. So Krishna said, oh, come on, enough's enough, come back. I was explaining to one devotee who has problems in health. I'm saying there's ways to cure, whether it's Ayurvedic, naturopathic, allopathic, there are ways to cure, but sometimes the cure will not work. That's a blessing. Krishna will take things away. Okay, you have to come back. Like right now, I can only see you out of one eye, so I have to kind of like this. Now, if I was focused materially, I can't enjoy like I used to. Then that would be an illusory meditation. But to accept whatever happens our way. So Krishna the body breaks down, we simply have to focus more internally. So it's interesting in this example how Prabhupada went beyond the externals to see Krishna's intervention. Krishna becomes partial to his devotee, and in this situation, the bhakti in difficulty was taken back to Godhead by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So anyways, there's great hope for all of us. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki, Ita Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Thank you, Aditamrit. Nice.